with us today. COVID-19 has changed the way many of us live and interact with each other. Kansans have sacrificed so much, yet we still have so much more to do to keep each other safe. Today, we have 12,465 positive cases, an increase of 406 since Friday. We have over 142,000 who have tested negative and 259 total deaths, an increase of 5 since Friday. As of Friday, we have 187 clusters, 96 of which are still active. The number of clusters associated with gatherings is steadily increasing. Currently, we have 8 active clusters associated with gatherings, which include funerals, graduations, and Mother's Day gatherings. I know we are all tired of this. I know we want to get back to normal and spend time with friends and partake in activities and see our families. However, we must remain vigilant. The virus is still in our communities and it is still spreading. Until a vaccine is widely manufactured and dispensed, our only defense against COVID-19 is social distancing, avoiding mass gatherings, and wearing a mask in public. The 3 metrics we use for reopening are disease spread, death, and hospitalizations. Unfortunately, for the first time in a while, our disease spread is trending upward. Therefore, it is my recommendation, along with the officials over at the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, that communities in Kansas stay in Phase 3 of the Ad Astra reopening plan. If you were to take a look at the map here, you can see that on May 27th, right here, the Ad Astra reopening plan became guidance. Before May 27th, cases in Kansas were clearly trending downward. After May 27th, cases leveled off and they're slightly increasing. This serves as a reminder that we are not out of the woods. We have got to continue to aggressively practice the public health recommendations in the Ad Astra plan. That means wearing a mask, staying home when you're sick, avoiding mass gatherings, and social distancing. It is the only way to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. These safety guidelines work. I'd now like to discuss an announcement that we made this morning. Last night, I accepted Secretary Delia Garcia's resignation. I want to thank her very much for her service to the state of Kansas. While states around the country have struggled to handle the caseload in recent months, Secretary Garcia had inherited an agency that had had its funding, its technology, and its staff gutted by the previous administration. A global pandemic was the worst case scenario, and unfortunately, it happened. That being said, there is no question that the Department of Labor was not able to adequately provide services for many Kansans struggling in the wake of COVID, and for that, I take responsibility. We have been too slow to process unemployment claims. Too many mistakes were made while trying to deliver claims, and our response time has not been addressed with the urgency that Kansans are depending upon. I know that many Kansans have experienced with KDOL. I know that many Kansas' experiences with the Department of Labor have created additional problems for themselves and for their families. There is no easy solution for a system that has been undercut by years of institutional neglect, combined with unemployment rates we haven't seen since the Great Depression. But we have to do better, and we will do better. I also need to address a more immediate issue, the decision by the Department of Labor to attempt a process known as a clawback. On June 10th, duplicate payments were made to more than 4,500 claimants of pandemic unemployment assistance and some federal pandemic unemployment compensation claimants for a total of about $7 million. On June 18th, the Department of Labor instructed our banking partners to reverse the duplicate payments using a clawback. The clawback caused some federal unemployment recipients' bank accounts to be overdrawn. We're also looking into reports that individuals who had not received duplicate payments had money taken from their accounts. Labor's decision to claw back the duplicate payments was done without consent from my office and after my staff had directed them not to move forward with the clawbacks. We will determine how this breakdown occurred and ensure that it doesn't happen again. The decision was wrong, and I'm going to use all the resources I have to identify the Kansans who were wrongly targeted or who had had their accounts overdrawn. They will be made whole. The Department of Labor will also create a special hotline and an email account for Kansans who have been impacted. Moving forward, I'm announcing a series of actions my administration will take to both address the clawback, but also to make systemic changes at the Department of Labor. My Deputy Chief of Staff, Ryan Wright, will serve as Acting Secretary of Labor until a permanent candidate is nominated for the position. We are also moving expeditiously to bring in specialists to be embedded within the Department of Labor, and I hope to announce more details about this later in the week. These specialists will focus on improving response times for Kansans applying for unemployment, implementing new processes to manage the number of claims we are receiving, and mitigating future backlogs and errors that have occurred while attempting to deliver payments. Lastly, I would like to apologize to the Kansans who have been unable to get the help they need because of the stress on our system. I'm committed to making transparent and thorough improvements to our system to ensure Kansans who are out of work through no fault of their own are getting the assistance they need. I know many of you have questions, and we don't have all of the answers today. These last few months have been stressful on everyone. State government employees in Kansas and around the country have been asked to deal with an unusually high volume of activity. Mistakes were made, and I'm taking responsibility for them. We're going to fix them, and we're going to move quickly and aggressively to make sure Kansans are getting the resources they need. And with that, I'll take questions. Yes.
Hi, I wanted to see if you were aware that at one point there was a frequently asked questions section on the website of CADL saying that it cannot remove money from accounts, and that question had later been taken down. Wanted to see if you were aware of that and if you could address that.
I believe that the Department of Labor did believe that to be the case, that accounts could not be clawed back, and then they discovered later that indeed they could.
Governor, just to be clear, you said that officials of the Department of Labor have been in touch with your staff about this procedure, and your staff had directed them not to do something that they then turned around and did. Was that the last straw for Secretary Garcia?
You know, I think there was clearly a break in communications from, my staff did talk directly to labor leadership, and at some point, the clawback happened after the leadership knew that that was not to happen. What we need to figure out is why that happened. Why was the communication between leadership and whoever pulled the switch made? We don't know the answer to that.
Have there been changes in any other leadership positions at the Department of Labor, or just the Secretary?
Just the Secretary.
So for some people, when you overdraft on your bank account, that adds an additional fee. Are those people going to be reimbursed for having to pay that fee?
Like I said, we will make them whole, yes. It will be a tedious process to figure all of that out, but we have every intention of figuring out who was impacted and to what degree, and to make them whole.
Governor, can you explain, were the people who had these clawbacks, were they given advance warning? If so, what constituted that warning, and did these individuals try to tell the department in advance that, hey, please don't do this, or
Yeah.
I don't know if you can.
You know, Jonathan, I don't have the answer to that. I mean, we figured this out, late Friday night, and been working on solutions over the weekend. But part of the solution will be figuring out where things went wrong.
Did you find out if anybody from their accounts withdraw the money before the clawback happened, or was there any way to do that to where you have to actually go get money back from them?
Well, I don't have the details on people's personal accounts. We will be investigating that. Obviously, we need to find out, exactly what happened to each and every person who was impacted by this, and whatever happened, we have every intention of fixing it thoroughly.
How long do you expect Ryan to be in charge there? I mean, how long will this search for a new secretary take?
I don't know, Jim. We have begun the search already, and it would be great if we can figure that out really quickly. But we want to get the right person in here with the right skill set, so that we can continue, implementing whatever remedies we come up with as we go forward over these next couple of weeks.
Aside from the callback issue, do you have any sense of how many people who are out there who are eligible for unemployment benefits who have not yet received any money?
Again, I don't have all the answers to all of that. We have just started to take this deep dive, and I think probably one of the things that we need to figure out is whether or not we're getting the data from the system that's accurate, and we will be exploring that. And that's part of why we're going to bring some specialists in who really can help us figure out where we are and what the situation is and what we can do to fix it.
Do you know why the duplicate payment was made in the first place? What process broke in there?
That, I think, was just a system error. I don't think there was any intention on anybody's part to do that. I think that was just a system error.
So some of these issues we've seen in the past were majority system errors because of how aged the system was. This sounds like this one was more or less a breakdown of leadership.
Well, there's certainly a breakdown in communication, and it created really serious problems for a number of Kansans, and we just have to get this fixed, and we have to get it fixed as fast as we possibly can.
Governor, I know you don't want to throw anybody who is part of the administration under the bus, but did you request Secretary Garcia's administration her resignation once you found out about this?
I met with Secretary Garcia Sunday night, and she offered her resignation, and I accepted it.
Is there any concern, though, that the secretary has resigned, that this is going to slow things down, or are you thinking that now, is there going to be a speed bump, if you will, because we're searching for a new leader?
Well, I have moved my Deputy Chief of Staff, Ryan Wright, over there, and over the entire pandemic process, Ryan has been our liaison from the governor's office to the Department of Labor, and so he is very well aware of what the issues are, and is very much a part of the solution that we're offering.
One more question. How will you work to increase communication between claimants and the department? They've been telling you that's their all-time biggest concern is not getting communication from Facebook or the phones or emails. What will you do specifically to better that?
That's why another reason why we're bringing specialists in. Clearly we have not been communicating well enough or quickly enough with folks, and we need a solution to that, and that's what I'm hoping whatever specialists we decide to bring in will be able to provide for us. And I know you said one more question, but Pilar's been sitting back there very quietly.
This is just a clarification. The hotline and emails, is that just for the clawback issue, or is that for everybody who's been struggling with the system?
No, that is just for the clawback issue. We've got other hotlines. I think the getkansasbenefits.org is the more generic pandemic issue email. Okay?
Will you be making budget allocations this week? Or could you not answer?